Right now the summer days are getting shorter and the end of our life as we know it is approaching fast. And with the farmhouse in the Netherlands now sold, our new life in Sweden awaits us. For now though, we are sticking to sorting, packing and moving. And in the meanwhile, I want to tell you the unusual story of how we sold our house.
Oh, are we straight? No, we are not. But now we are. Do you notice the difference? No? Well, I do. Right now I want to make a start with packing some of the glassware and all kinds of little things that we removed from a little display cabinet that we have on the top of the kitchen island. And this, by the way, is a little cabinet that is filled with all kinds of things that Rogier has been collecting for years. And there are some things in there that we do want to bring to the new house in Sweden, even though we have just sold our farmhouse in the Netherlands with everything in it. And with this, I'm not just talking about some of the pieces of furniture and the kitchen appliances, but I'm actually talking about everything. So that means that the person who bought this house also bought all our personal belongings and some of the things that we are emotionally attached to. There are definitely some exceptions though, and the painting that we had on the wall next to the dining table is a really good example of this, because this is actually a portrait of Rogier's mother, and this is something that we are not going to leave behind. So the painting needed to be replaced. Now, there are actually a lot of questions that you guys had about how we are planning to do that, also because most of the things in this house are very unique. And everything that we own is thrifted, because we love going to flea markets and thrift stores.
In this world of ours, we made everything the shape of the clouds. The stars in the sky above, and held in these two hands is a flag I can't raise in this world of ours. And everything used to veil down. There's not much that we can do but chase a dream. No promise in this broken land, a fool or a saint. We want to, if only we see it. We can color the sky and just how we want in this world of ours.
The person who bought this house bought a home. And there's a very big difference in between living in a house and living in a home. Decorating a home is not about just adding some materialistic things to it. It is about pouring love into it and about pouring care into it and about creating beautiful things and about creating happiness and coziness. And it is actually all about energy, you know. It's about changing the energy of a place into something that feels really, really nice. And this is exactly what the person who bought this farmhouse felt when he walked into the house. In his words, he bought a house that has a soul. So this is not about adding something that looks exactly the same, but it is about adding something that keeps the soul of the house alive. And you know, in the case of Rogier's mother's portrait, we just decided to hang something completely different. It is still a painting though, and it is still beautiful. And I've also noticed that the new owner of this house really loves and appreciates religious art. So it is the perfect fit for him and for this house, and it is just as beautiful as what was there before, but now it is personal to him and not per se to us, because we are just bringing Rogier's mother to Sweden. And you know, this entire process is now going to be about the continuation of pouring love into the house until the day that we leave. And the most beautiful part of the story right now is that there's actually going to be someone here who is going to appreciate it and who is going to love it. And I actually think that it might also be a part of a healing process for the person that bought this house, or at least that's how it feels to me. And this, by the way, also feels like a very healing thing to do for me, because I already went through the process of pouring all of my love and everything I had, my entire soul, into a house that I had in Amsterdam. And then I lost it in a really, really sad way. And I'm still trying to recover from what happened. And right now this feels like redemption for me, because right now, and this is after a long, long journey of learning how to love myself, I'm surrounded with people who would never do that to me, because these people are going to treasure all of the things that I've poured my love and my soul into, because they see what it is all about and they feel it. Decorating some of the areas of the farmhouse before we leave truly feels like the most beautiful thing to do, and like the most beautiful goodbye to the country that I was born in. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do all of these things. Now, some of the replacements are actually really difficult to leave behind because they are more interesting and beautiful than the original. And these two beautiful silver spoons are a really good example of this. So sometimes we buy something new and then in the end the original is staying instead of the replacement. And so now the question is also, how emotionally attached are you actually when you are just actually prefer the new version over the old version that you decided to bring because you were so emotionally attached, but now all of a sudden you are not? So I guess that the emotional attachment is not as big as we thought in the case of the spoons that needed to replace some forks. But now the forks are staying and the spoons are coming. So, you know, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Anyway, yeah, my glasses told me you need to hurry because this is not going anywhere. Oh, and by the way, my son and my husband are trying to learn Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent.
Arnold.
These two?
Arnold! Come on, we gotta keep driving.
Can somebody please come and get me? So now they are walking around all day whilst talking to each other with a really strange German accent. Ridiculous. And by the way, even the boxes are from the thrift store. Oh, and this is also just adorable and totally unnecessary and half of something that I bought. Because sometimes just dividing something into two is also an option if you really like, like something. So now some of the little forks are staying here and some of the little forks are coming. So we have antique napkin rings. And the bottle stoppers, or however you call these. And then we have this little thing. And these are antique knife holders. And this is actually something that we have found duplicates for. And in this case I also like the duplicates more than the original one. But we are going to take the original ones because in this case we have decided to leave the most beautiful ones behind. And then there's also the option just to take 2 when you have 6. 4 are staying here and 2 are coming with us. More napkin rings. This story started when I decided to go back to the Netherlands because we found a buyer for the farmhouse, and I told you guys about this. What I never told you though is that the buyer never bought the farmhouse because he couldn't get his finances in order. So 2 days before we were supposed to sign the contract, the buyer that we had dropped out. On the same day though, just a couple of hours later, someone drove through the street and saw our little vintage car and then decided to stop, and then this person started knocking on doors because he was trying to figure out who the car belonged to. And this is how he came to knock on our door. And he asked, "Does this car belong to you and do you want to sell it to me? Because I am a vintage car collector and I absolutely love your car." So this is when Rogier said, well, it could be for sale, and the same for the house. So if you're interested, it's yours. And then the person on the doorstep asked, "How much do you want for the house?" And Rogier said, 800,000 euros. And then this person said, sold. Now this was obviously something that we didn't take all that seriously because he was still on the outside of the house standing on the doorstep. So Rogier decided to ask him in, and then his girlfriend also came. out of the car just to see what was going on, and then we started to have this conversation about the house and about us moving to Sweden and about the house that we bought and about the new life that we were planning to start. And he just kept persisting, I'm going to buy your house. This is it. Just start moving, because now your new life is going to begin. So that night we showed him the ground floor and the garden and the wood shop, and then he went home with the agreement that he was going to call the real estate agent the next day. Something that we, by the way, didn't believe was actually going to happen, but he did. So within a couple of days the contract was signed and the house was sold, and now here we are. It is just insane. And sometimes I can't even believe that all of this happened. And do you know what I liked the most? Rogier's toilet of curiosities.
Now when they see the toilet, most people do not understand it. And this, I'm not going to lie, includes me. I do love it though, because I remember how much fun Rogier had when he created this space. And this entire story is not about how things look, but about how things feel. And the toilet of curiosities is the perfect example of a space that is just filled with love.
It is just nice to leave everything the way it is, because this is what we created, and now it is just going to stay and it is going to be loved. So to me it truly feels like the universe arranged everything, also because right now he's also going to pay for all of the things that came with the house, and this is going to allow us to do the final push in the move to Sweden, because we are actually running out of money, and all of this is happening exactly at the right time. And the money that he is going to pay for all of the things that we are going to leave behind is going to allow us to do the move without any stress. And it just feels like a blessing. It feels like a true blessing. And it is just special. It is really special. So that's the short version of the story, and there's a lot to say about it. But for now, I really need to focus on getting all of these things packed. Oh my God, how is this going to work? Oh, this is the bottom of the teepee. And something that we brought because we were camping in minus 27 degrees Celsius. And we needed something to keep the cold out. I mean seriously, who does that? Camping in minus 27 degrees Celsius, I mean. This is how we decided to move to Sweden though, because this is when we fell in love with the country and with the snow and with the magic. I am just going to try to figure out how to finish all of this, and then I think that I'm going to see you guys in Sweden. Oh, and by the way, I would love to hear your opinion about all of the things that I just told you. Don't you think that this is just crazy and just absolutely marvelous?